Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Total Space Network and the Angry Astronaut. You may hear a dog barking in the background occasionally. I'm in an Airbnb at the moment with some really, really nice people who've let me stay late so I can do this broadcast. Great folks. So in any minute, I'm joined here by Miko from Total Space Network.
Hello. Good afternoon. Yeah, we've all been waiting for this launch for quite a while. The last Falcon Heavy launch was STP-2 mission. That was over 3 years ago. So this mission has pretty huge impacts.
Yes,
Don't you think so? Yeah.
definitely. This is the most important Falcon Heavy mission to date, definitely by far. They need this rocket in order to be able to deploy these heavy U.S. Space Force cargos, and they only just got approval to carry these a few months ago. So this is SpaceX's opportunity to demonstrate to the U.S. Space Force that they're going to be able to haul these cargoes up to geosynchronous orbit reliably. And, we have every confidence, obviously I have every confidence that Falcon Heavy is going to be able to do its job as it's done in the past. But at the same time, this is only the fourth launch. This is not a Falcon 9 launch. This is far more complicated. So, and a lot of the people who were there handling the launch in 2019, they're not here anymore. So this is a very interesting moment in SpaceX history. I'm almost positive that it's going to go well, but nothing's guaranteed in space, especially if you're talking about a different rocket. How do you feel about it, Miko?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And since this is first geostationary orbit direct injection mission, they will really need to have they have worked out the problems with the kerosene. They had the mission with CRS something, maybe 20, when they had the gray area on the second stage, so they can keep the fuel warm. So that was one of the pre-checks they had to make. And also on the STP-2 mission, the earlier Falcon Heavy launch, they had a longer mission with the same gray area on the second stage to keep the kerosene warm, so it wouldn't freeze during the 6 hours they travel to the geostationary orbit.
Now, Miko, correct me if I'm wrong here as I go through the description of all of this for folks who may not understand the difference between geosynchronous and geostationary transit orbits, for example, that sort of thing. Most satellites that end up in geosynchronous orbit are actually put into a transfer orbit, or GTO. And that requires less fuel, and you can haul more cargo up to that. This particular mission, however, is a direct to geosynchronous orbit. That being the case, you don't have the luxury of dropping off your payload in a transit orbit. It's having to go all the way out there, which means you're really testing the maximum payload capability of the rocket and its ability to carry the cargo. This is something that ULA has a ton of experience with in delivering cargoes all the way out there. Not quite so much SpaceX. So this is an interesting moment. It's not like they've never done it. Falcon Heavy has done it, but at the same time, as you mentioned, Miko, there were some minor issues with that in the past. And if there's anything I missed, please correct me.
No, you didn't really didn't miss anything, but customers have to think about two things. If they want more fuel on their spacecraft when they are on the final orbit, then the direct geo injection is the better way to go. But they will usually have to pay double, at least.
Yeah. By the way, we have people saying where they're calling in from. Please, definitely, guys. We'd like to know. I've got Australia, Canada, Cape Canaveral, and obviously in Florida, Texas, Italy, Glasgow. Love Glasgow. Thanks for tuning in. Love all the rest of these places too. Houston, Texas, all kinds of fantastic NASA stuff there. I've been there several times, obviously. So we got people tuning in from everywhere. We got 75 people watching currently. Very happy everybody, and welcome for joining. And thank you for joining us. I know there are many channels that cover this sort of stuff. So very happy and honored that you guys have decided to join us today. And yeah, we're going to have some unique coverage here on Total Space and the Angry Astronaut. We handle things a little bit differently than everybody else does because we've got our opinions. And as you know, with me, they tend to be pretty extreme sometimes. But yeah, we got, so let's see, here we go. London, Derby, Idaho, boy, all over the world, just fantastic. So hello, Supax. Glad to have you here, brother. Thank you very much for joining us. Virginia, yes, absolutely. Cambridge, all right, let's go. I agree, absolutely, indeed. Hello, Coyer, thank you so much for joining. Coyer, Nottingham, hello, Nottingham. First Falcon Heavy launch. You are in for a treat. Let me tell you, if everything goes as it should, this rocket is a masterpiece of engineering. It really is. Everything it can accomplish is truly stunning. Graham, thank you. Thanks so much, Graham. Really deeply appreciate your support on this. As I've said many times, without you guys' support, it's none of this would have been possible during this trip. By the way, please subscribe to both channels, to Total Space and to the Angry Astronaut. We could definitely both use your support. I'm making a big push for subscribers. You guys are going to notice this because I have a new video coming out immediately after this broadcast, and I'm asking for subscribers more aggressively than I have in the past because I really want to get to that 100K. If for no other reason, so you guys can watch me sweat as Starship pushes towards its orbital launch, maybe before Vulcan can get to space. I think that's going to be an intense race indeed. And most of you guys know what's at stake if I fail. So Miko, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, if we think about if SpaceX were to fail this mission, there would be pretty big consequences because they are the second operator with DoD launches, US Army launches, and since this is based on Falcon 9, if they have any mistake at all, Falcon 9 would probably have to check the same things as well. Manned missions would stop. So I would, very, very important.
Simon and Supax, thank you so much for your generous support. Once again, this makes a massive difference to me. The fact that I am still here, that I'm still here in the UK covering things, and that I'll be covering this Virgin Orbit launch very soon, up close and personal. To my knowledge, I'm the only American journalist who's going to be covering this from the spaceport. Well, especially when I'll be able to interact directly with Virgin Orbit personnel and all that. That's going to be a special thing, and I wouldn't be here without you. Simple as that. I could not have financially stayed here without you guys' support, and I'll tell you, I am deeply moved. Deeply moved. Thank you so much for helping me out, guys. You're the best. So we are. Yes, and Total Space, by the way, will be down at Spaceport Cornwall as well. At least that's the plan currently, which is very good because they have much better equipment than I do, can provide more professional level of coverage. So between us, we're hoping to bring you guys something truly special. And once again, the most important launch in the history of Virgin Orbit. We have a lot of important launches going on right now, but Virgin Orbit, they're here to prove that they can launch from anywhere, anytime, any place on the planet. As long as you've got an airfield and some basic logistics in place, then they can launch. That's what they claim. That's what they're selling, and they need to make sure that those goes off flawlessly. Otherwise, they're in trouble. And they are well aware of that, by the way. I've talked to them extensively about this, the Virgin Orbit personnel, mechanics, technicians, etc. They have handled this rocket with a lot of tender loving care, and they're super confident. I'll tell you, great people at Virgin Orbit, from the pilots to the technicians, engineers, PR people, they're all really awesome over at Virgin Orbit. Miko, how do you feel about that launch?
Yeah, that will be awesome to see quite a few rockets flying from the UK. There are not really many rockets flying from Europe. So, yeah, from Western Europe especially. And I may not be there since I'm in Finland, but if my holidays line up correctly, I may actually go there as well.
That would be fantastic. Thank you both, Kevin and Antonym, for your generous support. We do our best to bring you the best coverage that we possibly can with our sort of primitive resources, but nevertheless, and believe me, it would be way worse if I didn't have the help of Total Space, ASN. The technical help on their side is what makes this look professional. Whereas with me alone, well, you guys have seen that. So this is the reason this is as good as it is because of their support. So once again, I know I'll keep reminding you of this throughout the broadcast. Head on over to Total Space and subscribe to their channel. Check out their videos because their coverage is very good indeed.
Thank you.
No problem at all, Miko.
And yeah, looks like the fog is almost as bad as it's usually in Vandenberg. But hopefully, when we see the launch, hopefully we will see the launch when it launches.
It'll
Doesn't look
definitely
good
light
at the
things
moment.
up.
Yeah, will just be a fireball maybe. After it gets on top of the cloud coverage, we will of course be able to see it.
Yeah, it'll blow right through the cloud cover, and generally the fog tends to hang very low over the Cape, so it won't have a lot of time in the clouds before it blows through it. Probably, at least in my experience of what happens in Florida, and it may clear. Where are we in terms of countdown? Actually, wow, so we are very close indeed. 3 minutes 49 seconds to launch, guys. So yeah, it's getting close, and I'll tell you, this is beyond intense. Wow. This is
Absolutely.
it was this rocket. It was Falcon Heavy, and the whole thing with Starman. All of that is what inspired my channel in the first place. That's why I decided to start a YouTube channel, is because I watched that amazing launch, and it just blew my mind. So yeah, I can't wait. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And funny
Andre,
thing
thank you so
is,
much.
neither of our channels were online when the latest Falcon Heavy launched in 2019. So we are pretty new.
Yes, indeed. We are all very new to this industry. Andre, thank you so much. 18 pounds. Sorry, a bit of a mess while you were visiting Britain, when I'm a little tidier than this. I've enjoyed every minute of it. Really, I could barely notice that there was chaos going on. Yes, I know politically there was, but everybody was, keep calm and carry on. That's the way you people are, and it just seems to be a very common sympathy. I didn't see any huge demonstrations or riots or anything in conjunction with all this political chaos. Just people who shook their heads and say the politicians suck and let's just get on with our lives. So yeah, handled things in a very mature fashion, as I'm accustomed to seeing in this country. So it's a great thing indeed. Plastic Pinocchio, thank you so much for the €6. Boy, amazing. Thank you again. Yeah, this is a rare event. There's no question about that. And we are coming up to the moment of truth. Boy, we're almost there. 2 minutes or so and counting.
Just
Wow.
1 minute and 37 seconds.
Oh, is that where we actually are? Okay, I guess I was
Yep.
on delay here while I was watching. I'll keep watching here instead on the main screen. Wow, this is I'm getting worked up. Let me tell you, I'm getting very excited. This is how it gets with me, especially when we're talking about a big important launch. I get super excited. Godspeed, Falcon Heavy, and best of luck, SpaceX. Best of luck to the awesome engineers, technicians, everybody who's contributing to this very important moment in the history of spaceflight. Even though this isn't a maiden launch or anything, it's still a very critical launch for the future of spaceflight and for the contracts that SpaceX holds with the U.S. military. And given that we don't have Vulcan Centaur yet, this needs to go. This absolutely needs to go, right? Because it's the only rocket the U.S. has to do this.
We have a go for launch, so let's listen in to the sounds of the rocket.
Let's go.
Once again.
T-minus 15 seconds and counting. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. Vehicle is pitching downrange. M1D chamber pressure is nominal. Nominal power and telemetry.
Pounds of thrust. Headed to space. We've throttled down in preparation for max Q, moment of peak mechanical stress on the rocket.
Falcon Heavy is supersonic.
There we just heard the call out that the vehicle is now traveling faster than the speed of sound. What a beautiful sight.
Max Q.
All right, there we just heard the call out. That is the moment of peak
Fantastic.
mechanical stress on the
Loving this.
rocket.
I am loving this. All 27 Merlin engines firing.
M1D engines throttling back
perfectly.
up.
Everything going just
A beautiful sight to see Falcon Heavy flying once again. Shortly we'll hear the call out for MVAC chill, indicating that the second stage is prepping the MVAC engine.
Vehicle is following a nominal trajectory.
Wow. No
We will flow
words.
a little bit of the super chilled liquid oxygen
yeah,
through the
just
turbo
like
pumps
in the
on that
comments,
MVAC in
that's one
preparation
way
for
to
the full
clear the
flow
fog.
of the super chilled
Yes, indeed.
propellant.
Yes, indeed. Wow, what a special moment this
Shots
is.
there of
And
each side
we've only
booster
just
on the
gotten
right-hand side of your
started,
screen.
folks. We've got the separation of the
Next event will be
side
booster engine
boosters
cutoff, or
and
BECO.
dual simultaneous
That'll be followed by
landing. Yes,
stage separation of side boosters,
incoming.
side booster boost
There's
back
some
burn,
awesome
center
stuff
core main
still
engine
coming,
cutoff.
guys. So stay tuned, because this rocket has
We're
lots of
10
things to
seconds
show
away
us. If
from
you
the
haven't seen this
booster,
before, lots of
separation.
things coming up indeed.
Absolutely. I think side boosters will deploy in about 10 seconds, if I remember correctly.
Side core booster separation confirmed.
There they go.
There we go. Nice.
There you can see and
So
heard
cool.
it by the
So
incredible
incredible.
excitement within the crowd behind me.
Incredible.
Successful separation of the side boosters.
Booster boosting for startup.
There we can see
amazing. So I
3
can't
engines on
wait,
each side
obviously, to
booster
see
have
those
relit
come
for
in
their
for
boost back
landing.
burn.
Once again, that's just a
At this
tour de
point in time,
force in
both side boosters
engineering
are
when
returning.
that happens, and so
Nominal
we'll see
trajectories.
Good
if
news there,
SpaceX
both
can
side
pull
boosters
this
and
off
center
again,
core,
as they've been able to
everything looking
flawlessly
good.
in the
Side
past.
boosters are
They
returning
did
to the
lose
coast of
the
Florida,
core booster,
now under the power
at
of
one
3
point
engines.
in the past.
That's a view there of the center core.
Yeah,
So
this
that-
time
so
they
it's
will.
expendable. Okay.
Yeah, it's expendable this time.
I wasn't clear on that. So yeah, the core stage will be expended. So we only have to worry about the side boosters landing. But honestly, that should not be an issue. They've gotten very good at landing those things in the past.
Additionally, our center core or
Amazing
stage
how
one,
quickly
which is
this
there,
thing
is
manages
expendable
to
today, so we are
make
not
its way
recovering,
into space.
this
So much
booster.
power. If you watch, by the way, a side-by-side performance between a Falcon Heavy's ascent rate and, say, a Saturn V, the Falcon Heavy just takes off. Like
I know, right?
just runs off. It's amazing. And it's, again, because not a lot of weight and tons of thrust. Wow, there it goes.
Yep. And from now it's just like an F9 mission.
Very simple at this point.
Yeah.
At least it should be at this stage. And by the way, sorry if you guys are hearing a little bit of chatter in the background.
And we heard call out of second engine start one. At this point in time, with that call out.
Separation confirmed.
Oh, there we go. Okay, well, we got some. Apparently, that's not an issue thanks to our producer in Yorkshire. So once again, guys, you're fantastic. Really do appreciate it. Thanks everybody for joining in. Thanks everybody for being a part of this. And once again, we're just getting started, people. This is we still got the landing to come, and the deployment of the satellite is going to take some time before it manages to get out to geostationary orbit.
As a reminder, today we'll be attempting to recover the two Falcon Heavy side boosters on land.
Yeah, and we may never know if the payload was deployed, since it's another one of those a bit more secretive missions.
In just a few minutes, the side boosters will
we are not seeing the second stage at all.
Followed by a landing burn.
Yeah.
Both burns are meant to
a high degree of
secrecy
with this mission, so therefore, I mean, we may get some official notifications, that sort of thing, but in general, the military is under no obligation to tell us whether or not the payload was delivered successfully, and honestly, it's not in the interest from a military intelligence side to tell the world whether or not it was deployed successfully. So they may never tell us, like Nico
is
said.
going to be expended, and we are not attempting to recover
Absolutely.
it. This allows us to utilize.
All vehicles continue to follow
we are coming soon to the entry burn, and if successful, the booster landings will be 150th and 151st landing of a booster.
On the left-hand side of your screen is a live view of
Astonishing.
Hawthorne Mission Control here at SpaceX headquarters.
Yeah, that's
We're
fine. I mean, it's up to you as to whether you want to
entry
cut us
burn
out
for
on
the
the
two
volume
side
side,
boosters.
but man,
They're
this
on
is
the top and bottom
definitely exciting
of the
either way.
right-hand side of your screen.
Sorry, just communicating with our producer here.
Standing by for side
Yep.
booster entry burn.
And this Falcon Heavy mission is 193rd overall missions for SpaceX. So they are pretty close to the 200
There we
mark.
go, the call out that the booster entry burn has
Got a
begun.
burn
Oh,
coming
that's
at
nice
this point.
news.
Yeah, it is indeed. Really amazing. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
let's go full screen.
We're going full screen, guys.
The ice on those cameras are now clearing.
All vehicles continue to follow nominal trajectories.
So that re-entry burn has concluded. We're expecting the landing burn to begin in about 30 seconds. The entry burn intended to slow the vehicles down significantly as they re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. Amazing tracking cam views of the boosters as they return to landing zone 1 and 2. We can see the grid fins there.
Both side boosters transonic. Stage 2 FTS is saved. Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
We can see those grid fins steering the boosters for a precise landing. Again, we're attempting
Booster
landing. Landing zone 1 and 2. There we just heard sonic booms. zone
That was
2.
just incredible.
What an incredible sight.
Marking orbit.
With these two side boosters, this marks the 150th and 151st overall successful landing.
Falcon Heavy once again doing what it's supposed to
This is
do.
the 21st landing at
Doing
landing
its
zone
job
1
and
and the
doing it
4th landing at
magnificently.
landing zone 2.
Once again, making me remember just why I like SpaceX
And with successful
so much.
confirmation of our
What
side
an
boosters landing,
accomplishment.
that will bring
What
today's
a
broadcast to a
masterstroke
close.
of engineering.
We'd like to thank the
Wow.
United States Space Force
Wow.
for entrusting us with today's mission. Thank you to the range and FAA for licensing today's launch.
Yes.
And we'd like to thank all of our viewers
Nico,
for...
do we have any final thoughts? We're probably going to, and by the way, guys, quick reminder, once again, please subscribe to Total Space. I'm releasing a video about the competitor to this rocket, Vulcan Centaur, some new information. It seems to be coming out all the time, and some stuff about Starliner too. But Nico, your final thoughts.
Yeah, huge success for SpaceX. I would think the mission will go just as planned to the geostationary orbit, and this really does pave the way for SpaceX getting real big military contracts and even more challenging launches along the way. Yeah, so happy this worked, and yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. This is really fantastic. Again, the bar has been set, the gauntlet has been thrown down, and obviously Vulcan Centaur can't compete as far as the impressive display of all the landing boosters and things like that, but it does have a substantially bigger fairing than Falcon Heavy has, so it has certain advantages, and we will see whether or not it can put those to use, or whether or not these BE4s are not going to perform as Tori Bruno's hoping that they do. So right now, I'll tell you, ULA is in the back, and they've got some catching up to do at the moment. SpaceX is seriously throwing down the gauntlet, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Once again, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate everything Total Space has done. So until we see a lot more launches just like this one, not only from SpaceX, but from other launch providers who are also leading the way as far as innovation is concerned, I urge all of you to stay angry about space.